Hi everyone, welcome back to another Planetarium live stream. My name is Jessica, I am the director of the Planetarium, and with me tonight is one of our students and a familiar face if you've been here before, but I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, my name's Eli. I'm a physics and astronomy undergraduate student at UMD.
So tonight, it is the last day of September, which means October starts tomorrow, which I normally would say I'm sad that we're already through a month, but I love October, so I'm very happy to be here. And so with that, tonight's show is going to be our usual beginning of the month, What's Up? And so we'll take you through what you can find up in the October skies. And then there's also a couple of really cool news stories that have come out over the past couple days that I want to spend just a few minutes talking about at the end. So I'm going to get everything switched over and set up. While I am doing this, if you do have any questions, you can always leave them in the comments below. Eli is going to be watching out for those, and will let me know if anything comes up. So, what's up in October? Well, we're going to start off taking a look at our moon, what phases of the moon and stuff we're going to see, and we're pretty lucky. We are starting out this month with a full moon, and because of that, we're actually getting 2 full moons this month. So tomorrow will be a full moon, sometimes known as the hunter's moon, also known as the harvest moon. The harvest moon is always the full moon closest to the September equinox. And then about a week later, on October 9th, will be the third quarter. About a week after that, on October 16th, will be the new moon. About a week after that, October 23rd, will be the first quarter. And then right on our last day of October, on Halloween Day, we are getting another full moon, which is just perfect. A full moon on Halloween. Since it is the second full moon of the month, it is also called a blue moon, because that's all a blue moon is. It's the second full moon of the month. All right. So that is our moon. Now up in our sky during the month of October, we also have several of the planets that are visible. So we'll start off with Jupiter and Saturn. Right up in the south, right after sunset, you can find Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter is going to be very bright, brighter than any of the other stars that are around it. So if you head out right after sunset, right when it starts getting dark, and look south, and that bright thing you see, that's going to be Jupiter, and then right next to it is Saturn. Saturn may be a little bit more difficult to distinguish because it is about the same brightness as the stars that are around it. But that is where it is. Now they are going to slowly be moving towards the west over the course of this month. So at the beginning of the month, they're going to be up more directly south. But then over the course of the month, they'll slowly move over and be more southwest instead of due south. And so I've got this picture up for about mid-month. So you can see it's about halfway between south and southwest there. Now also up in the evening, right after sunset, is Mars. In fact, on the 2nd, October 2nd, the moon is going to be really close to Mars up in the eastern sky. So it's a great time to go out and try and find it, because if you can find the moon, you can find Mars right next to it. Mars, usually one way to distinguish it against other stars is Mars does have a pretty clear red color to it. Now there are some stars that are red as well, but if you see a kind of point of light that looks to be more than just a point or isn't really shimmering or twinkling like stars and it's red, and right now up in the east, that's probably Mars that you're looking at. So Mars is going to slowly be moving west across the sky. So over the course of the month, it's going to move from being more in the eastern sky right at sunset to being more in the southeastern sky at sunset. Right around Mars, you can also see I have circled here 2 other planets, Uranus and Neptune. Now, unfortunately, those are not visible to the naked eye. You have to have a telescope to see those. But if you do, you'll be able to see them as these little kind of bluish-greenish disks in your telescope. All right, now Mars is actually heading into what we call opposition. So when a planet is in opposition, that means Earth and the planet are close together in their orbits, or right next to each other in their orbits. What it technically means is the planet is directly opposite 180 degrees from the sun compared to Earth. And so Mars is in opposition with the Earth roughly every 2 years. I think it's about 2.5 years. And what that means for us is that's when Mars is going to be the biggest and brightest in our sky. And that's going to happen around, where is it at? October 13th is when Mars will be at opposition. So leading up the first half of October, Mars is going to get bigger and brighter to your view through a telescope. You won't actually see it get much bigger to your naked eye, but it might get brighter to your naked eye. And then after the 13th, it'll start fading away, getting a little bit dimmer, and start looking a little bit smaller in our telescopes. And you can see that with this opposition, we're pretty close together. Mars's orbit is a little bit more elliptical than Earth's, so it does get a little bit further away at times and a little bit closer at times. And we are at opposition at one of the times when Mars and Earth are pretty close together. And so this is going to be a nice, big, bright Mars at opposition. And you can really see here, this is from about 2 years ago, the change in the size of Mars as we approach opposition. All right, now looking into the early morning sky, this is just before sunrise. We can see Venus up, so it is currently our morning star. It's very, very bright. It'll be probably the brightest thing you see up in the east in the morning, and it'll definitely stay out and visible longer than the nearby stars will. And on, let's see, what date is this? October 14th. The moon is going to be, again, pretty close to a planet, this time being Venus, so it's a good time to try and find it. So you find the moon, the next bright thing next to it is going to be Venus. And then at the end of this month, on Halloween morning, just before sunrise, not only will we have Venus visible, but we'll also have Mercury. Mercury will just start peeking out from above the horizon just before sunrise. All right. So moving on past the planets that are visible, we also have quite a few meteor showers that are happening this month. Now, most of them are minor showers, so they're not going to be anything too spectacular. But if you're interested and want a fun night adventure, this is a good time to maybe head out and try and see some meteors. So a meteor shower happens anytime the Earth passes through a debris trail left behind by a comet. Because as you know, as a comet gets close to the sun and it heats up and its ices, it's primarily made of ices, start to vaporize, it leaves behind a trail of dust that's also blown off as the gases are vaporized. And so each time we pass through that trail, we get these tiny little grains of dust that fall through our atmosphere, heat up, and are those brilliant streaks of light that we see across our sky as the meteors. So to start off, at the beginning of this month, we have the Draconid meteor shower. So it's technically going from October 6th to October 10th, but the peak is the night of October 7th. This is a minor meteor shower, so you'll see at most about 10 meteors per hour. Nothing too dramatic. It is the debris trail that we are moving through to create this meteor shower is left from the comet. I should have maybe practiced this name before I got on stream. 21P Giacobbe-Zinner. We're going to say that I got that. Everyone good with that? Yeah.
Good to me.
This is a comet that was actually discovered back in the year 1900, and it is the one responsible for this meteor shower. Now, it's named the Draconids because the meteors are going to appear as if they are radiating or originating from the area of sky near the constellation of Draco. That's where all of the meteor shower names come from. They come from the constellation that they appear to be the meteors appear to be streaking from. Now, most meteor showers, we say that it is best to view them in the early mornings after midnight, but the Draconids are a little bit different. These are actually best viewed in the early evening. So if you head out after sunset, give it an hour or two after sunset, get it real dark, head out maybe Hawk Ridge or a little bit out of the city, and you will maybe be able to catch a few meteors every hour from the Draconids on October 7th. All right, heading on, October 21st and 22nd, we have the peak of the Orionid meteor shower. This one comes to us courtesy of Comet Halley, which has been known for a very long time and is also responsible for the Eta Aquariids that we had earlier this year. This is an average meteor shower. We get up to about 20 meteors per hour when it's really hopping. Now, one of the good things about the timing of the Orionids is the moon's actually going to be set by about the time we're going to really start peaking, which is after midnight. And so we will have a nice clear, or I can't say clear, a nice dark sky, a nice moonless sky for this meteor shower, which is going to make it hopefully really good and really make those meteors pop. Now this one is running pretty much through the entire month of October, but the peak is again on the night of the 21st into the early mornings of the 22nd. This is best viewed after midnight, so maybe have a late night, you want to go out and do some meteor hunting. That's a good time to do it. And then at the end of the night, we have the Southern Taurids, or end of the month. Around October 29th and 30th, we have another minor meteor shower, which is the Southern Taurids, which again, minor shower, so we're looking at 5 to 10 meteors per hour, which doesn't seem that great, maybe not seem that exciting. We're also going to be dealing with a full moon up at that time, which is going to reduce the amount of meteors that we can see. But a cool fact that I found about the Southern Taurids is they're actually known for producing higher than average numbers of fireballs. Those are the really, really bright, dramatic meteors that we can see. And apparently the Southern Taurids is known for producing those more often than other meteor showers. So you may not see much, but what you do see appears like it's going to be pretty dramatic. So that might be a fun one to go out and kind of hunt for as well. All right, well, those are our celestial events that are happening this month. So on to some really cool astronomy news that has come out over the past couple days. So 2 days ago, a paper was announced that stated the finding of a couple of large liquid water lakes underneath the surface of Mars. Now, this is actually a follow-up to an announcement that was made a couple years ago, where they had found some evidence of a giant lake of liquid water. This is kind of the follow-up, getting even more data on it, and what this follow-up has found is not only confirmed the initial lake that they thought, or that was announced a couple years ago, but also found 3 other smaller ones around it, meaning this could be a kind of interesting, maybe complex water system underneath the surface of Mars. And so this was found using radar from the Mars Express satellite. And so with the radar, they are really looking at the radio waves that are bounced off of the surface of Mars back up to the satellite. And based off of how those are bounced, how they're scattered, whether they seem dimmer or brighter than the original signal, all of that can tell us information about what's going on the surface, including composition, whether something is a solid or a liquid. And this is how they think they found these buried lakes of liquid water. Now, one of the things they do think is for this to be liquid, it must be pretty salty because salt water has a much lower freezing point than regular water. And if that's the case, if these are really, really salty lakes, then that means there may not be the chance of life in these, which is something that we've kind of been interested in seeing. It's been proposed for a while that there may be liquid water under the surface, and that may be where life on Mars has developed. But if it is truly very, very salty, that makes it less likely. But we still have a lot of follow-up to do, a lot more to learn, so I'm excited to see what comes from that. And then the last piece of news that I was really excited to learn about is we have a new satellite up that is searching for planets around other stars. It's the Characterizing Exoplanet Satellite, also known as CHEOPS. And it has announced its very first discovery, the very first exoplanet that it has found, and it is a weird one. What better way to announce your presence than finding a truly weird planet? So the star that this planet is around is actually a star that is much hotter than our sun, which is in and of itself strange. We don't find a lot of planets around really hot stars. So the first tick of strange there. Now this planet sits about 20 times closer to its star than Earth is from the sun, so it's very, very, very close. And it is about 1.6 times the diameter of Jupiter. So this is what we would call a hot Jupiter. It's a Jupiter-sized planet that, because it's so close to its star, is incredibly hot. And that's in and of itself isn't unusual. We have found quite a few hot Jupiters, but this is the hottest that we have found, with temperatures reaching 3,200 degrees Celsius. To give you an idea here, tungsten, which is the metal with the highest melting point that we know of, melts at 3,400 degrees Celsius. So it is nearly at the melting point of the hardest metal to melt because it has the highest melting point, which is just insane. It's such extreme temperatures. And that, again, is just because of how close it is to its star and how hot the star itself is. So, hottest exoplanet we found, check. It is the brightest exoplanet that has been found. And there's even more odd stuff about this system. So it turns out that this star is actually bulged at the equator. It kind of pokes out. The diameter of the star around the equator is fatter than the diameter around the poles. Sorry, you are seeing my cat. Nova, move please. So it's kind of bulged out. And because of that, the equator of the star is actually cooler than the poles are. So the poles have these two hot spots because they're closer in than the equator, which is bulged more out. So that's strange. And then on top of that, the orbit of the planet has it go around the poles of the star rather than around the equator. And we usually find planets orbiting around the equator of the star, and that just comes down to how planets form. So the fact that we see this strange orbit tells us that some sort of gravitational encounter had to happen to change the orbit of this planet and give it this weird polar orbit. Hats off to CHEOPS and its first exoplanet, because it's definitely an interesting one. All right, so that brings us to the end of that. I thought I'd had a little bit more, but it's cool. There's still lots of good stuff to see and talk about. Do you have any questions that came in?
Not yet, nope.
All right, well, if you do have any questions, now is a great time to leave them down in the comments. And I'll go ahead and give you a little sneak peek at what's coming up over the next week. So We have had to reschedule our Stellar Saturday event that was supposed to take place last Saturday, but we got rained out. So we are trying again this Saturday. So we will be out in front of the Planetarium from 1 to 3 this Saturday, handing out bags full of fun activities, all centered around our moon. We'll also be selling our Stellar Distancing t-shirts. You can either purchase one there if you'd like, or you can purchase one online and pick it up that day. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. And then with the month of October, we are entering Spooktober, where we're going to have these awesome spooky Halloween-themed shows all month long. And to get us started this month, on Wednesday of next week, we're going to be doing Monsters in the Sky, which looks at some strange objects we have in our universe. And then next Saturday, we're going to have Spooky Star Stories to Tell in the Dark, where we're going to do just that, go through some of the spooky star stories. Now this one is family friendly. We're going to keep it not too spooky, but if you do want something a little bit more extreme, coming up the week after, we are going to be doing a PG-13 version of the show that gets a little bit spookier, a little bit crazier there. And then I missed a day, didn't I? What day did I miss? Saturday as well.
Yep.
Right after we do our makeup rescheduled Stellar Saturday, that evening we'll be doing our customary beginning of the month star show, where we'll take you through the stars and constellations that you can find up in the month of October. So I'm very excited. As I said, I love October. I think we've got some great things planned, a lot of fun shows coming up, all of this leading up to Halloween Day, October 31st, where we will be having Halloween at the Planetarium. Or at least we're going to try to have Halloween at the Planetarium. It's not going to be
outside of the Planetarium.
Yes, Halloween outside of the Planetarium. It's not going to be like it has been in the past. We are not going to be doing anything in the planetarium itself. We will instead have a drive-through experience where you can pick up some goodies, including some activities and, of course, candy. We'll have some demonstrations you can watch from your car. It's going to be really great. But we are actually wanting feedback from everyone about this because we would like to have this at a time that works for everyone. So I put up a poll. If you could just, if you're interested in the event, let us know what time frame works best for you. We just want to make sure that we do this when people are available.
Yep.
All right. I think that wraps us up for tonight. Did we get anything else come in?
Laura Sanchez asking if she could walk over to the planetarium and grab her shirt.
We do not currently, none of us are at the planetarium at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
We are both at home, but if you do send us an email, we can arrange a time for you to come over and pick it up. We'll make sure one of us are there. Mm-hmm. Or the Saturday when we're doing the Stellar Saturday.
Yep.
All right. Well, I will leave it there. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the show tonight. We hope that you come back for the fun shows we're going to have for the rest of this month. And yeah, that's it. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.